Yo, what's going on today, guys? It is Rick here, and today we're talking NBA play-in. So, for those that don't know, there is an NBA play-in tournament to get into the NBA playoffs. So, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seeds will be playing in the next couple days here to see who actually gets into the real playoffs. So, I think there's like a big controversy with the whole NBA play-in. I think it's fine. It would be fun to see a team from the play-in make a big run one of these years. And I'm sure the NBA would love it because the play-in really hasn't had the greatest reputation with throughout fans. Like, people don't love it just because, why would you want 2/3 of the NBA to make the playoffs? Like, it feels like it's almost a gimme at that point. But it's just one game, win or go home. So let's talk about it, guys. We have some really very good matchups, like really, really good matchups going into this. And I'm going to start in the West and go to the East. First matchup I want to talk about today, Oklahoma City versus New Orleans. So they played 4 times this year. They were all super close games. Super close. Both teams had injuries in multiple different games, so they've seen each other with different variations. Both teams are pretty healthy other than the big obvious. New Orleans is missing Zion, which seems to be like he's been out a long time for a hamstring strain. So his body apparently just doesn't recover very quickly. So we've all seen it. The Pelicans looked like one of the best teams in the league this year with Zion. Without him, they've looked solid at times, but they've been inconsistent. But they've also had a lot of missing time from their stars in like Brandon Ingram. I don't think CJ missed too much time, but their role players have been in and out all year. So it's been a pretty tough year for New Orleans. The fact that they still made the playoff is pretty solid. So obviously OKC is the young team that no one has expectations for. They're probably just pumped that they actually already made the playoffs because they have a bajillion draft picks going forward. So my prediction for this series, this game, I should say, I think New Orleans is going to take it because they have the more all-around team. They have a true big in Jonas. They have just Brandon Ingram, who we saw in the playoffs last year almost beat the Suns. Like, they have CJ McCollum. Just the experience that they have on that roster shouldn't lose to Oklahoma City. But Oklahoma City does have Shea, who is arguably, like, realistically should be in the MVP talks this year. Like, his defensive stats along with his offensive stats of 31 points a game are ridiculous. He can get free throws like no one's business. So it's going to be a close game. I can guarantee you that. Some points I wanted to bring up. So for Oklahoma City to win this game, they need Shea. Shea has had 5 out of 6 games against New Orleans recently over 30 points. So he's probably going to pop off. He gets actually a lot of rebounds against them for the bettors out there. He gets a ton of rebounds for some reason. I think it's because he goes to the lane. They're actually pretty disciplined on New Orleans. They don't foul him a ton, so there's a lot of second chance opportunities for rebounds. But they need Shea to obviously play out of his ass, like just straightforward. Giddey has to be the second man. There's a lot of nights where Giddey just kind of disappears. He's young. It's expected. But there's other young guys like Jalen Williams that are a little bit more consistent at times, and that can't happen. Giddey needs to go out and get 15, 7, and 7. Like, if he gets those numbers, they shouldn't lose. But you never know. It's basketball and it's playoffs. So Shea's going to get to the free throw line probably 12 times at least. For New Orleans, I think their obvious one is CJ and Ingram. They need to torch OKC. OKC's defense has gotten better this year than it has in the past, but who the heck's going to guard Brandon Ingram? Nobody can guard him in general, but like, who on that team can guard him? Like, there's actually nobody. So I'm expecting a big game from Ingram. CJ needs to use his experience and have a good game. And then the main point here, Jonas, they don't have a big. Like, they just don't. They actually guard bigs pretty well, but like, Jonas needs to pop off. He should get at least 12 rebounds and at least 15 points. So I see New Orleans winning this game, but it's going to be close. Next, we have the Lakers in Minnesota. So Timberwolves and Minnesota. Timberwolves and the Lakers. There we go. This should have been, I was really excited for. This game should have been really close. Yes, I just said that 3 times because there's 3 people out for Minnesota. If you guys didn't see it, Rudy Gobert punched Kyle Anderson, and now he's suspended from the team. His backup, Reed, who has been awesome, and he's probably going to get a good contract in the offseason for how good he has been. Out, broke his hand the other night. And then in the same game that Rudy got hurt, Jaden McDaniels was frustrated and punched the wall and broke his hand. So they are out. Not only their main big, their second big. Thank God they have Cat, so they at least have some size still. And then their best defender in McDaniels, who was probably going to get, he's probably still, because the season's over, but like, he really is like going to get first team all defensive team most likely. He's like arguably defensive player of the year. He won't get it, but like arguably he's up there. So this really comes down to where the money's going to go. Karl Anthony Towns has to pop off. He needs to show that he is better than AD. And then Ant-Man, you got to show everyone why you are this athletic freak. You got to come out and play some of the best basketball we've ever seen. That is the only way Minnesota wins this game, missing those 3 players. And I'm just going to leave it at that. There's no other reason. Those 2 guys, they need to combine for like at least 60. Like it just has to happen. Lakers, on the other hand, they're hot, first of all. They're all healthy, second of all. So this team is very scary right now. I see a lot of people, the odds, like a lot of people are favoring the Lakers to be that team I was talking about from the play-in that can maybe make a run. We'll see. I think they have like the 4th best odds to win it all this year. I think that's not true. Like the Lakers are not good enough, in my opinion. I think that there's way too many holes. They're just not consistent. Like LeBron's consistent. AD's not consistent on a regular basis. And then it goes down to like their 3rd best player is Austin Reeves. So like Austin Reeves does got that dog in him, but at the end of the day, is that going to be enough to win a playoff series? I don't think so. But I do think they easily win this game just because of those 3 people out. If they had those 3 people for Minnesota, I would actually be picking Minnesota in this because the matchup's not good. But Lakers, they've been getting a ton of free throws lately. I just don't see a world that they lose this game. Next, we have Toronto and Chicago. This one is probably the most unpredictable of the bunch. They have played... Wait, first of all, I didn't say this on the last one, but Minnesota actually beat the Lakers 3 out of 4 this year. But I don't think that's going to matter. This one, though, Toronto and Chicago, they're 2-2 on the year. So this is the rubber match. Who can beat them in that one game where it means the most? At the end of the day, Chicago can beat anyone on any given night. And we've seen that throughout the year. They always play good against the best teams, and then they'll just go out and lose to, say, like OKC. It's just what it is with the Chicago Bulls. They're not consistent. And when you're in the playoffs, you need that consistency. It's just they're not consistent throughout the year. Vucevic, on a random night, looks like the best top 3 big in the league. And then he looks like a bottom 3 big in the league other nights. That's where that team lives and dies, in my opinion. Obviously, LaVine is one of those guys that can get stupid hot as well. But to win this game, they need LaVine. DeRozan's always consistent. He wasn't a main scorer on any team that he's been on until he came to the Bulls. So he just needs to go out and play his game. He's going to go get you 20, play good defense, and play basketball the way it's supposed to be played. LaVine, on the other hand, that's your guy. He needs to go out and get at least 25 in this game if they're going to win. It's just plain and simple. And then from there, their bench, Kobe White, in my opinion, is the X factor in this. If he is on, their bench plays so much better. And obviously, it's a playoff, so there's not a lot of bench minutes. But those bench minutes are going to be very important in this game because Toronto's bench is thin. It's really not great. So coming into the Toronto side of things, though, I think Toronto has a much more consistent path to win this game. Realistically, they just need Fred not to suck. Like, Fred VanVleet he's not a top 5 point guard in the league, but he's like in that 6 to 8 range. Very, like, good player. But there's just nights where he will go out there and shoot 3 for 20, 3 for 18. If he goes out and just plays average basketball, they should win this game. He distributes the ball well. They got Siakam, who, in my opinion, is on triple-double watch. He's been on fire on both assists and rebounds as of recent. Won a nice bet on the second half of the season on him on some double-doubles, but he's also getting really close to triple-doubles on a lot of those games. So he's been on fire. He's obviously the most consistent piece on that entire team. And then you have two really inconsistent players. One is Gary Trent Jr., where he can go out and get you 30 on a random night, or he can get you 6. So they need a solid game from him. And then OG, he's there to play defense mostly, but they need him to score a little bit. And I think I would pick Toronto in this one. But like I've said, Chicago plays up to their competition. It would not surprise me. If you're betting this game, stay away from it. This game's the plague. Stay away. Last but not least, Miami and Atlanta. This game's really interesting because they have played 5 times this year. So they know each other. They know what's going down. Miami's healthy finally. Lowry's back. Atlanta healthy as well. They're all looking pretty good. And they actually got some rest from their main players towards the end of the year because they already were in a safe spot. So they gave some extra rest to Trey and a couple other guys. But X factor in this. There's 2. One for each side. Playoff Jimmy, as we've seen, can just take over. This Miami team can run up to the Eastern Conference Finals if Jimmy Butler plays like he did last year. Or in past playoffs. Playoff Jimmy is different. And then Trey. I'm just going to leave it at that. Trae Young for Atlanta is everything. There's no one in the NBA, I would say, affects how their team plays on a nightly basis more than Trae Young. That guy can go out and get you 30 and 10 assists-wise, or he can go out there and shoot 8 for 24 and get you 8 assists, but he's going to turn over the ball 6 times. And so, if you're an Atlanta fan, I just wonder, do you love Trae Young, or do you just get super frustrated watching him? Because personally, the talent is there, but they just don't hone it in good enough, if you ask me. It's going to be a really good game. I personally have Miami winning this for playoff Jimmy. They just need a couple role players to hit some shots, and Tyler Hero to have a solid game. Bam needs to outplay Clint, which I think he does because he's good defensively and offensively. And then realistically, Atlanta, they can beat anyone on any given night, but it comes down to Trey and then the role players on the team. They just need to hit their threes. If they hit their threes, they can score like no one's business. They catch absolute fire, some of those players. So, very interesting first round of the playoffs. I'm excited for the play-in. I hope you guys are too. This playoff series is going to be, or just playoffs in general, are going to be some of the best we have ever seen. This season, closest we've ever seen some of these conferences. It's going to be amazing. I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.